Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, the garden is quite jam-packed, and so will be today's video. We've been blessed with a couple of nice sunny days, and I needed to do a few things in the garden and especially get some things harvested. The whole idea, guys, of trying to be self-sufficient is the idea is we're trying to get the crops out and put some new crops in. Because we had slightly bit warmer weather, be it cloudy, things kind of picked up quite a bit. Not the best results that I was expecting, but there is still tons to do. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to show you what we're going to be harvesting. You're going to obviously see the end results, what we get, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to preserve this in my Preppers Pantry. So let's go. So guys, the first job of the day is the onion bed. I had my concerns earlier this year, guys, because it is a slightly shaded area. The thing's not really doing so well in here. And as you can see now, the onions have actually now gone to seed. And all that means, guys, that now onions are actually stopped growing. So the only thing here we can do, guys, I can cut the flowers off or cut the whole stem, leave the onions in the ground until needed, but they will start rotting very soon. Unfortunately, when the onions go to seed, it kind of messes with the whole idea of the whole bulb, and it doesn't get to develop properly. So the way for me really is to get them out and probably end up dehydrating them, including some greens. So let's pull some out and you see what I mean. So there we are, look, a prime example of really undeveloped bulb, a lot of roots, healthy growth, but the onions are very, very small. So guys, as I do have things to go in the ground, these things just have to come out. It is really, really unfortunate, but it is part of, guys, part of the gardening thing. Things don't always work out really well. And the issue we had as well, obviously, with the weather, guys, it really, really didn't help. But in the end of the day, you know, some of them are not too bad. But in the end of the day, it's not going to get to waste. I am going to get to process this and still obviously add on some bits to my Preppers Pantry in the dehydrated version. So let me pull them out and we move on to next things. There we are, guys, look, this is what we get now. Half of them split in the two bulbs as well, which will make it a teeny bit awkward. But nonetheless, let me put this on the table and then we'll come back to the next bed. So guys, the next thing is unfortunately my lettuce bed. If you watched my previous video, one of them gone to seed, but now unfortunately the rest has followed. And if you can imagine, guys, all the raised beds are kind of at the premium, and we really don't like to have things sitting there for the point of the seeds. To be fair, because the seeds are very, very cheap, it's pointless me occupying this whole bed just for the few lettuces for the sake of the seeds. So they're going to be coming out. They are still edible, guys. The leaves are still edible, but I probably end up having some for the dinner and the rest will be fed to the chickens. Okay guys, the next things are peas. You can see peas is probably one of the best things I've done in my garden. They have grown really, really well, and unfortunately, because I've only been growing them for my little one to kind of pick and snack on, we're not really keeping up with harvesting. So in order for peas to keep producing, the idea, guys, you got to pick them. And it did take quite a while for the pods to actually fill up to a nice sort of chunky size, but majority of them are ready. So I'm going to be harvesting some of them. So here we are, guys, the peas are done. I've missed some earlier. I see this in the end here. They're starting to go yellow. That means, guys, they're starting to pretty much go hard, but that's okay. I'm going to leave those here, especially this plant right on the end, and I let the pods go totally dry, and I'll obviously collect the seeds for next year. As for the peas here at the moment, they are still growing, so they're going to still stay in the ground. However, guys, at the front here, I do have some volunteer potatoes that were not intended to be there because I do need to plant something there right away. So let's pull them out and see how many potatoes we get. So guys, we're now at the potato bed, and I also have some onions in here. And as you can see, guys, they are doing amazingly well. If you look at the comparison of the onions that I pulled up from there, this is pretty much night and day. So with the onions there, because they are pretty much ready, obviously you can see when they're ready, guys, when the greenery basically flops over. You have to leave them to cure like this. Well, you have to leave the stuff to go brown a little bit, and then you can pull them up and then cure them and store them. I pulled this one out for you to see, guys, as an example. We'll eat that one, but the rest here will stay until they're yellow and ready to be pulled out. So as it comes to the potato, as I've said, I have a volunteer potatoes here, guys, but as you can see, they're taking pretty much half of the bed, and they're not intended to be there. They're actually even coming up on the bit here as well, which is kind of really unnecessary. So here we go, look. I don't know why it's growing over there, but nonetheless. So I'm going to do, guys, because I need this bed to plant something else, I have to pull those potatoes out. So let's have a look. I'm not expecting a huge harvest, guys, because they are still probably growing, but let's see if we can pull this out. Some little ends. Let's get them out. You can see, obviously they're still small, they're still growing, but as I said, guys, I really don't need them here. I really desperately need the space. So let me continue harvesting and I'll show you what I have. Big one. There we are, guys. Not a lot to write home about, but I knew this. Okay, and I did say, obviously, they are volunteer potatoes. I've planted potatoes here a long time ago, and they've been buried all the way down before the raised bed was here. So chances are there could be some more tubers kind of really down low, but all that means probably they'll come up probably sometime next year. So anyway, guys, this is what we have now. I also have a couple of pots of potatoes, which we're going to be tipping out, which was an experiment. So as we're on the potato thing, let's go and have a look, see what we have in our pots. So guys, the potato time. As you can see, right, I have in front of me a green potato, not green potato, but it's still green. And we've got some yellow ones here which are ready to be harvested. I've been planting the potatoes successionally, so it means we can harvest them every sort of few weeks. Those ones only been planted a few weeks back and they only just started, so they'll be ready for around Christmas time. My plan is as well, guys, is to put some new potatoes in again, probably today or tomorrow after we tip those pots. Again, those pots were an experiment. I tried to just to figure out the way of having the balance, the amount of soil we need with the amount of straw and the amount of potatoes. Just so you know, guys, they're not seeded potatoes. They are potatoes from the supermarket. They've been just sitting in my fridge and starting to sprout. They work really well, obviously, because I've tried this before. As to extent to how much we get to harvest, I really don't know, because those pots are actually the smallest. So let me turn the camera into move it down here, and then we'll turn the pots and we'll have a look. So guys, first pot here, I did put out of interest for the future reference. So potato, 4 pieces. So it was 4 small potatoes from the shop. So let's turn this upside down and have a look. I'm not looking. Oh, they're peeping, look. Let's have a look. It's very wet soil. They all at the top, not huge amount. See, they are baby potatoes, but to be fair, it's expected being they're growing in a pot, and a small one at that. Baby ones, look. Let's tip out the last one. Let's see what we've got. Let's do that. You can see that growing to the side. Oh, that's better. Look at that. Oh yeah, that's much better looking. Look. Hopefully get to see that. Yeah, here we are. Much healthier looking potatoes, look. See, pot is not that much bigger. That's a bit strange, but look at that. Well happy. That is very good. Very good. So this one here, there was actually 2 potatoes, just 2. So that's probably why maybe we have more, because they had more room to grow. And you can see the original potato is going to mush. I think that's that. It just actually shows you that potatoes, because there's many debates about growing potatoes, but it just shows you that actually majority of the tubers are growing at the top rather than at the bottom. So you don't really need to fill up your pot. If you see, it's very little underneath. You don't really need to fill up your pot with soil a lot, so you can put straw underneath on the bottom and put a little bit of soil on top. So I think, look at the baby ones. Oh, big one. So guys, here we are. This is what we have now in total of the potatoes. Okay, I do apologize, I did get myself dirty now. But yeah, this is not bad, guys, considering, okay, the pot size was only 30 centimeters by 30, and I haven't really even filled this all the way to the top with soil. So I think that's, you know, it's a couple of kilos in here. I don't think it's really that bad. If you think about it, if you do have a couple of potatoes that are kicking about in the fridge, they're starting to sprout, 2 of those will yield you, like, you know, really multiple amounts, which are, without really any work per se. All I've done is just filled up the pot, put the potatoes on top, a little bit of soil, and then when they started to grow, just to put a little bit of hay on top to stop potatoes turning green when they're exposed to light. And that was literally as simple as that. So I'm really impressed though with my one of the big potatoes here from the raised bed. And I'm very actually excited when the main crop potatoes will be finished on the left hand side of the beds, because beet are really, really good soil. I'm hoping we get a few of the really big ones like that. So as next thing, guys, let's go into a greenhouse and pick some tomatoes. Okay guys, hopefully you get to see me in my little tomato jungle. So anyway, as you can see, you might be able to see there's a few little red tomatoes in here. Not particularly the huge amount, but as well, guys, I did mention before, believe this or not, this is a money maker tomato, right? This is actually a cherry sized tomato, but nonetheless, few of them are ready, so we shall be having them for dinner today. And the best thing, guys, right, the best thing when you do grow your own tomatoes is that you'll be able to just pick them off the stem and eat them. So good. And the best thing, guys, when you do, actually, if you pick your own tomatoes, is when they're warm, they for some reason just taste the best. And I mean by warm, from the sunshine in the greenhouse. Yummy. Okay, guys, well, not a huge yield. I do have a couple of orange ones outside, so let me go and pick them. Greenhouse number 2. And we have some yellow tomatoes, which I forgot about. As you can see, that plant is really, really not looking healthy. I said a bit earlier that I did struggle to keep it watered. It just dried out far too soon for the pot. Nonetheless, though, it produced fairly okay. It is on its last legs, so I've got to harvest the yellow ones now. Obviously, they're meant to be yellow. And yeah, leave the rest to ripen up, and that'll be the end of this one. And don't forget to sample them when you pick them. So guys, tomatoes are done, so we have a nice bowl in here. So let me show you and zoom in on the cucumbers. So guys, this is what I have really cucumber-wise. I said they've not really been doing that great, but we'll have a nice solid example of a good cucumber. And then next to it, guys, we do have a yellow one that's going to be falling off. Unfortunately, they're kind of growing, but I've harvested few, not really many, but you know, not particularly that great. And I think we have another one over here, so we're going to pick that one as well. Different variety. You can see the leaves are not healthy. Need to cut them off really. But so we've got that. We've got 2, and we've got a couple coming, but some of them are dropping off. And here I have my cucamelons, and they're just about coming on, so taking their time though. So guys, do excuse me, I had to change. I couldn't continue filming covered in dirt. So anyway, the next thing on the harvesting agenda is going to be these nasturtiums. If you're not aware, the nasturtiums are edible, and we're talking about the leaves and flowers and the pods as well. They have really, really peppery flavor, so you can add them onto the salads. But at the same time, guys, you can actually dehydrate them and the flowers as well, and then grind them into powder, which is very, very good homemade replacement for a black pepper. So those nasturtiums been planted here in a nursery bed, but I never get the chance to plant them out because I had basically too many. As you can see now, they've taken a massive chunk on my growing space, and unfortunately they have to go. I do have a few more available around the garden for the bees, and I have a lot of calendula that's now came up, which is amazing for the bees as well. I need the space, so unfortunately it's a great crop if you have a lot of space and you can let them just sprawl around. However, when you are limited on space, guys, unfortunately they have to go. And this is more than one plant in here. So my thing is in here as well, guys. I actually forgot, I've got a couple of onions here as well, which will have to come out. They've grown again. Oh, started to go to seed. Look at that. This is just crazy. Look at that. It's literally, you can hear that. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Anyway, let's put you there. So a couple of onions there. You can see the bulb not really developed that well neither, so they're going to be, and top part started rotting away. This is how much rain we had, as you all be aware anyway, so let's hope the couple there are a-okay. But anyway, so yeah, all of this will be coming out, so I will be drying the nasturtiums, and I will be making my own black pepper. Not black pepper, but black pepper substitute. Here, obviously, I've got a little bit of coriander that just came out by itself. Again, I'll probably harvest this, pull this out, and then just dehydrate them and just make them into the vegetable powder. I've got some dill left here, but again, I didn't plant it. It just came up here by itself because I grown it here a couple of years back. I will keep this here for the seed head because I collect the seeds and I plant them on like I did right behind me. It works really, really well. So without further ado, I'm going to be pulling this out and I shall see you in the next crop. And actually, before I go, guys, one thing I wanted to mention, another reason why I'm pulling this out. I have some nice lettuce grown in here, and I don't know if you're aware or not, but nasturtiums works really well as a diversion for cabbage butterfly to divert it from your calabrese. They will attack it and then they'll eat it. So because I have lettuces there, I really don't want to have any not slugs, any of the caterpillars there, because they will also eat my lettuce, and I don't want any of this horrible stuff there. So that's why the reason they're coming up as well. And guys, another thing, whilst I'm on nasturtiums as well, they're actually very, very good for you. Believe this or not, they have a lot of vitamin C, they have vitamin K, they have a load of magnesium, potassium, they've got all sorts of vitamins and minerals in there. It's really difficult to comprehend actually that how something that grows so easily, it is so tasty and have so many uses. So if you haven't tried growing this, and if you do have the space, I strongly suggest planting one up, because once you plant them, they literally will be appearing absolutely everywhere. So next thing, guys, I'm going to show you. I've got some turnips which I've planted a little while back, and they've been doing absolutely nothing apart from foliage. And then suddenly I looked, and they're actually growing superbly well. So let me show you what they look like. You can see, guys, the foliage here. It's really, really large. But look at those, guys. Look, the little yellow turnips. They're not meant to be huge. Oh, sorry. Look at that. And there's actually quite a few, so you can be pulling them out. And look at this guy here. Hopefully get to see it. Look, here's a big one. He's ready, so ready to go. So let's pull him out, shall we? Hopefully get to see that with the sun. Wow! Look at that. That is superb. I'm super happy. So guys, next thing on the agenda is a red currant. Unfortunately, the bird's been at it and they pretty much had half of it. So I think it's time now, guys. I'll harvest them. I can make probably a red currant jelly, but because I've got quite a lot to process and do, I think I'm just going to pick them and just put them in the freezer for time being and just deal with them later. But look at them. They're just glistening. They just look amazing. But don't forget, guys, as I said to you, when you do pick something, don't forget to sample it. So the carrots are now picked. It's only a bowlful, but it's better than nothing. Also, for all of you who actually grow currants, red currants or black currants, don't forget that leaves are also edible. And again, I think it's part of being a prepper, really thinking of things, the alternative things we can have for things like teas and coffees, and herbal teas are really kind of spring to mind. The red currant and black currant leaves are actually very good for us, and it's super easy to make the tea infusions with them as well. So if you are growing some and if you're preparing one, so many Preppers Pantry, I will harvest a few of those, I will dry them, but all you got to do, simple as pretty much like brewing a normal tea. Put some chopped dried leaves in there, add some hot water, and it basically makes yourself a nice cup of herbal tea. You can do the same whilst they're fresh as well, but if you're talking about the long-term preparedness and something that to take you through the winter, then drying them is a really good way forward. And guys, as we're now on the tea subject, I have a ton of mint growing in my middle bed, which I said that have to be dealt with really, really soon. So let me show you the forest of mint. So guys, here we are. This is mint. You can see this is my dwarf apple tree, and the mint, however beautiful this is just taken over. Aside the oregano there as well, which is going to flower. But you can see, look at that. It smells absolutely amazing, but it is everywhere. You can see now here, it's actually even coming up from underneath there. Oh yeah, this is my wild strawberries, look at that. We've been picking them regularly and they just grow so well. But yeah, this is the more of a mint, so there's loads and loads. So I think I'm going to pick a bunch of it and again just rinse it, dry off, and it's there for the winter to be able to make some tea. Mint tea is really good for your tummy, as you're probably aware, so I'll be harvesting it off here just to relieve that poor little tree of that mint right underneath it. All is good to repel the bugs for the tree, but as you can see, it definitely needs doing, so I'm going to be harvesting some of that. So guys, I think it's enough harvesting for today. I think it was pretty good, don't you agree? Anyway, the main point was of me harvesting this, guys, is I wanted to empty some space to get some other crops in. As I stressed earlier, and I can't stress enough now, guys, especially guys, if you do have a really small garden, is to when you take other crops out of the garden and you harvest them, make sure you have extra crops growing somewhere outside or in a polytunnel, in a greenhouse, anywhere, ready to go into their space. The whole idea is, especially again, if you have a really small garden, is we want to yield as much produce as possible. So basically the beds don't sit there empty without any produce. So do make sure that you sow things in advance and plan when things are going to go in. I'll be planting extra things. Like I said, the potato is going to be one of my main things. I'm really happy with the result. So I'll be planting some more in the same pot as well. I've got other bits ready to go in, like some extra beans as well, which hopefully the weather stays, it will be a-okay. As it comes for the produce, guys, what I've picked today, as I said, all the fresh things like tomatoes and cucumbers are going to be consumed fresh. Things like mint, guys, the nasturtiums and anything like that will be dehydrated for the winter. I'll pick some leaves as well, red currant leaves as well. I dehydrate that too. Onions are going to be made into the powder. I'll dehydrate it, including the greens, apart from the really woody stalks. So the point is to you guys that every time you have a harvest, especially if you're preparing your like Preppers Pantry, every time you have your little harvest, you dehydrate something, you put this away. A few weeks later down the line, you do this again, you dehydrate this and you combine this together. You'll be surprised that after a little while of time, guys, your Prepper Pantry will grow. And as we know, right, we have tins and things like this. However, having your own fresh produce, beets like greens, the leaves, things like this will give us so much freshness and so much vitamins and minerals that our body will need in the winter. So if you haven't started doing this, guys, start harvesting, start drying, and build your Prepper Pantry. Anyway, guys, well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, don't forget, subscribe if you haven't, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.